Of course, YouTube's going to be a few seconds behind on everything. Hi, Eva. Good evening. How are you doing?
Hi there. Good evening. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Hope you're doing well too.
I've just launched a Zoom meeting, which is also going out live on YouTube. So we're going to be talking about a couple of topics, and you're going to be my co-host this evening.
Absolutely. I'm on board and ready to help out as your co-host. Just let me know what topics we're diving into and how you'd like me to jump in, and we'll
Shh,
make it a smooth ride.
that sounds good. We're going to start in about a minute, and I'll slowly give you the topics as we get into it. But we are going to talk a little bit about the Cloudflare outage. If you want to look up some information about that now, we'll talk about it in a little bit.
Sure thing. So just as a heads up, there was indeed a Cloudflare outage earlier today that affected a bunch of big platforms, stuff like X, ChatGPT itself, Canva, and so on. It kicked off early in the morning Eastern time and was tied to some unusual traffic patterns. They rolled out a fix within a few hours, and things seem to be stabilizing now. So we can chat about that on the stream whenever you're ready.
Okay, great. Another topic that we're going to talk about are the opportunities in down economies. And also, Kroger made a major announcement here locally that might not seem that big of a deal, but it does have some nationwide implications. So we can get into that. Do you have any news or information, any public announcements from the supermarket grocer Kroger in the last, let's say, 7 days?
Absolutely. I've got that info for you. So Kroger just announced that they're going to close three of their automated fulfillment centers by early next year. They're doing this to streamline how they handle deliveries and to boost profitability. It's also tied to them expanding partnerships with services like Instacart and DoorDash to speed up deliveries. So that definitely has some broader implications we can dive into on the stream.
Okay, great, great. All right. Well, the thing that they told us today in this area in Central Florida, that they're going to stop deliveries as of, well, one email said February 1st, and the other one said January 26th. So do you know, can you tell me which of those locations are actually the fulfillment centers, which ones are going to be closed down?
Sure. So the specific closure in your area is actually the Groveland, Florida fulfillment center. They're planning to shut that one down in January 2026, and that means deliveries around Jacksonville, Tampa, and Orlando will be ending. It looks like that's part of the broader effort to streamline their delivery network. So we can definitely talk about how that might affect folks locally and nationwide.
Okay, perfect. I'm also, for those watching live on YouTube, I will be watching for the comments. Also on the left side of my screen, I'm going to be looking at Zoom because I did send out a public invite, which I know is dangerous because it's a free-for-all. I put it on LinkedIn, I put it on YouTube for anybody to join with the code. So I'll be looking for guests to join the Zoom, and I'll also be looking for comments on the YouTube channel. So Eva, let's jump into Cloudflare, the outage. Let me get the explanation of that in 100 words or less.
Absolutely. Let's dive right in about 100 words. So the Cloudflare outage today was essentially a network disruption that affected a bunch of major services. It started with unusual traffic patterns early in the morning, causing downtime for sites like X, Canva, and even us here at ChatGPT. Cloudflare deployed a fix within a few hours, and now things are getting back to normal. In short, it was a temporary but noticeable hiccup in the internet's infrastructure.
Okay. Eva, do they have any speculation as to what caused the outage? I mean, it was pretty widespread.
Yeah, they do have a bit of speculation. Essentially, it looks like the outage was triggered by some abnormal traffic patterns, possibly a routing issue or a configuration change that cascaded across their network. They haven't confirmed any malicious activity or cyber attacks, so it seems more like a technical hiccup. We'll probably hear more details as they dig into it, but right now they're just saying it was a traffic-related glitch that they've now patched up.
Okay, Eva, I appreciate that. For the non-technical, Eva, explain in 70 words or less what Cloudflare is.
Of course, in simple terms, Cloudflare is basically a service that helps websites stay online and load quickly. They protect sites from a lot of threats and speed things up by managing internet traffic. So when Cloudflare has an issue, a lot of websites can be affected at once since they rely on Cloudflare to stay up and running.
What was that last large internet outage that also happened this year in 2025 and it was nationwide? Do you know which specific event I'm referring to?
Sure. So earlier this year, one of the other big nationwide internet outages was actually an Amazon Web Services disruption back in October. That outage affected a bunch of platforms like Snapchat and Roblox. And of course, we just had the Cloudflare incident today. So it's been a pretty eventful year for internet outages overall.
Absolutely. I'm also aware, and of course I can't mention the name of the company, but I know an insurance company that did a software update and it shut down their ability to take in new claims for about 3 days. And this is some very major nationwide insurance carrier. It was very embarrassing for them. What I wonder about that, Eva, is why don't they apply these patches or software updates in a sandbox? So explain sandboxing and why it would be important to do something like that.
Absolutely. Let's break that down. So, sandboxing is basically like creating a safe, isolated testing environment where you can run new software updates or patches without affecting your live systems. It's like a little digital playground where you can see if anything breaks or causes issues before you roll it out to everyone. The reason it's important is that if something goes wrong in a sandbox, it doesn't cause real world disruptions. So, ideally, big companies test updates there first to avoid exactly the kind of embarrassing outage you mentioned.
Okay, Eva. So going back to Kroger for just a moment, they did announce that either, depending on which email you refer to, they will stop deliveries in this area, Kroger grocery deliveries, either the end of January or the beginning week of February. Did Kroger explain specifically who was going to be taking over deliveries in those areas, particularly Central Florida?
So what Kroger has said is that by February 1st, 2026, they'll stop their own grocery deliveries in Central Florida because of the Groveland Center closure. But they're handing the reins over to partners like Instacart, DoorDash, and Uber Eats to keep deliveries going in that area. So folks will still be able to get their groceries delivered just through those other services.
Okay. Well, bad news for Kroger. I don't think that those companies will be able to deliver in this area. The area that I'm in is 40 minutes away from the closest grocery store. Now, people have survived here for 100 years. This town's been around for a very, very, very long time, and they'll be fine. But people got very dependent over the course of the last 3 years on the Kroger deliveries, and now they're suddenly going to stop. And DoorDash won't come out 40 minutes to deliver food, and Instacart I don't think has that kind of range either. So I think these rural areas that Kroger was servicing, they're just not going to have service anymore. So you have, and there's probably 1,000 people in this town, and at least three-fourths of us are Kroger customers for delivery because it saves you it's 40 minutes one way to go get groceries, and with the price of gas and everything else, having them deliver for $3 per delivery is very, very reasonable. So my point about this is, and this is part of the reason why we're talking about the topic, is down economies do present some great opportunities. So there are going to be some people that will be able to fill that gap, although they're using refrigerated vehicles and different things like that. Suddenly 250 people might be willing to use a local delivery service for groceries. It's going to be a little bit more complicated because they don't have the computer ordering integration with Kroger, but and that may even open up more opportunity for somebody to open a local grocery store because this area that I'm in, like all small areas of Florida, are rapidly growing. So even if you don't mind, give me 150 words on how some great opportunities that usually open up in down economies.
Absolutely. So, in about 150 words, down economies can often create unexpected opportunities, especially for local entrepreneurs. When a major service pulls out, like Kroger ending deliveries in rural areas, there's a gap that local businesses can step into. Someone might start a local delivery service using refrigerated vans, or even open a small grocery store to meet the community's needs. In tough economic times, people often get creative and find ways to fill those gaps. So, while it's a challenge, it's also a moment where new local businesses can grow and thrive by meeting a real need.
That makes a lot of sense, Eva. Thank you so much. All right, folks, I am monitoring the chat in on YouTube, and I'm also monitoring to see if anybody wants to jump on Zoom. You don't have to come on through the video. You can just join in through audio. You don't even have to have a computer. You can even call it dial in if you're old school, and we'll take your questions and looking for any comments that you might have on the YouTube channel as well. The other thing that I wanted to mention is the new collaboration ability through YouTube. vidIQ actually wrote an article about it on LinkedIn. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known anything about it. But it does give us the ability to collaborate with another YouTube creator. Two channels basically collaborate together. And vidIQ, which really keeps their eye on what's going on with YouTube, said initially they didn't think it was very, very groundbreaking. And then they did some numbers, and this is their words. I'm going to read what they said on LinkedIn. They said it works even on brand new channels. A fresh channel with 0 subscribers and 0 history uploaded a video. Day 1, 10 impressions. That's okay. Day 2, after collaborating with the main vidIQ channel. So they connected this unknown channel to the vidIQ channel. 5,200 impressions. They say that's not a small bump, that's a rocket launch. That's pretty serious. Okay, number 2 point, the biggest impact, the subscription feed. Subscribers, that's still pretty relevant. It said when the two channels collaborated, YouTube pushes the video into the subscription feed of both audiences. Now that's fantastic. So if you've got two creators, each with, let's say one has 1,000 subscribers and the other one has 1,500 subscribers. Well, that's getting pushed out to 2,500. I mean, ideally, you hope that's the reach you're getting when you have the guest of another podcast on your podcast. But I can tell you from personal experience, you don't get double the audience. In this collaboration with YouTube, you would. So as always, I would encourage people, even if you don't have a YouTube channel, to get one. And we call these social media platforms, just like the word platform. Where does that come from? Let's look at the origin for that. The people used to, they'd say, get off of your soapbox. Well, people that are old enough to remember, and you've got to be pretty old to remember this, but soap came in these wooden boxes. So if someone wanted to give a speech or give a talk, they wanted to rise above the crowd, they put the soapbox down on the ground, stand up on it so that they would be at least head and shoulders above the crowd, and they would make an announcement. That became their platform. Or speakers stand, we call it a podium now, but they're standing on a platform. Social media is a platform. It's a megaphone. You can add your voice to it. And I think the more people that are involved in the conversation, the better things are. That's why I'm on this video right now, inviting you to ask questions, inviting you to join